Are we going to see sub 20 silver? Well, I need to see it before I'm back in the game. Maybe that'll come back to bite me. Maybe it'll haunt me later on. I don't know. But that's been my goal ever since I got rid of the last bulk of silver that I had. Let's talk about it. So YouTube, Vertical Stacker here, and a lot of you who have followed my channel over the years know that I have been heavy into silver from time to time, but that also when I find an opportunity to divest myself of that silver, I will certainly take advantage and do so. This basically represents most of the silver that I currently own. It's not a lot. I have owned thousands of ounces before what you see here as the remnant. I have another, I don't know, 100 or 200 ounces maybe in high premium collectible type stuff that I may flip at some point, but for the most part, this is my silver stack. It's not much, and a lot of you have a lot more than this, and you've been doing it for a much shorter time. What I'm hoping for, what I'm really hoping for, is that silver will go down to about $17 an ounce. Now, my buy-in for silver is $20 an ounce, and that includes the premium. So I think we're going to have to see about $17 silver before I can purchase generic silver rounds such as this ugly thing at $20. These, of course, seem to be out of the question right now because the American Silver Eagle premiums are just so ridiculous. I wish I understood why that was happening, and I wish the community as a whole would stop buying them, because until the demand subsides, I just don't think we're ever going to see the premiums come down in any reasonable way. And there might be supply issues as well, and that's probably what's pushing that a little bit. But $10 to $14 premiums on an American Silver Eagle, no way. Just no way. I just don't think you're ever going to get that premium back in any meaningful way. So if you don't believe anything I say, believe that nobody should be paying $10 to $14 premiums for an American Silver Eagle. Do what you do, but I don't think you're ever going to get that back, absent the moonshot that people, or at least some people, like to talk about. I'm not a fan of that topic, so I'm not going to talk about it. But here's a couple little examples. One is constitutional silver, and one is just a little gram of silver, a tenth ounce of silver rather, as well. I really enjoy collecting constitutional silver. It is one of my favorite things to stack when I'm in the game, and I probably had at one point about 2,500 to 2,700 in face of constitutional silver, and that was probably one of the hardest things I had to let go, because I'm a little bit OCD. I'm pretty well organized when it comes to my stack when it gets of a certain size, and so I had them all in tubes, $10 tubes of Franklin's or Kennedy's or whatever, and I sold those at a really good price compared to what I bought them at. And I bought them from actually a friend of mine who was going through some financial issues, but he had several $1,000s in that constitutional silver, but he couldn't get an LCS to pay him what he wanted, and so I was able to pay what he was asking for, and I picked that up at about $8 per $1 face. So that was a great buy, considering I think I turned around and sold it years later at $20 to $22 per dollar face. So yeah, there's money to be had in this game. There really is. You just have to be smart about it. You just have to be patient, and it's never a get-rich-quick thing, right? It's probably never a get-rich thing. A lot of us talk about hedging inflation and so forth. Well, how's that working out for us? I'm looking at 1853.30 for gold and 21.92 right now for silver at about 9 o'clock Mountain Time today, May 11th. So yeah, I mean, all these things are going to keep their intrinsic value to a certain extent, and it's going to fluctuate up and down. that's why I'm not a fan of the dollar cost average. And that's probably different than most stackers out there. I don't buy it when it's $32, $33 an ounce. And then wait for it to go down to 17 and buy a bunch more, and then wait for it to go up to 25 and buy a bunch more. I just have my parameters set. I buy below 20 and I sell above 30. That might mean there's only 2 or 3 times in my whole life that I'll be able to actually do any meaningful size transactions with this stuff, but I'm okay with that. And if it so happens that I pass away and I leave my kids just this much silver, well, believe me, the proceeds from the other silver have been invested into other things and they're going to be just fine. But maybe I'm going to pass away and I'll have 10,000 ounces of silver, and that's okay too, because then that will be divided and I'll have instructions for them on how to do the long game with precious metals, because there is money to be had, there's money to be made, but it does require a lot of patience. I'm not a real big flipper. I've tried it a few times, just doesn't really motivate me a whole lot, because the time I spend trying to track down the right buy and then trying to find the right buyer, my time is more valuable than that. To those who do it well and do it often, I salute you, because you're making it work, and good for you. I still have a lot of the high premium type silver rounds and coins, but I don't know what I'm ever going to do with those things. So if you know, hit me up and maybe I'll cut you a deal on them one of these days, but not right now, because I'd be taking a bath on them. So I'll have to wait until the premiums, or not the premiums, but the spot price goes up a little more, so that I can recoup some of that investment. I think I was paying, I think I was paying about $30 to $35 an ounce for some of that higher premium stuff, and yeah, not about to let it go for $25 an ounce. I can just sit and wait, and if it takes 20 years for it to get over $30 an ounce again, that's okay. I'll still be around, hopefully, right? Hopefully I won't be 6 feet under by that time. But so that's what I'm doing right now with silver. What are you folks doing? Are you dollar cost averaging? I think most people in the community do. It's just not for me. I don't want to dollar cost average silver to $25 an ounce. I want to buy it at 17. I want to sell it at 30. Period. That's just the way I like to do things. Buy low, sell high. And it means I won't be flipping stuff all the time, and I won't be making $1 here, $1 there. I like the higher dollar transactions, if at all possible. Even though sometimes that means I have to sit at a police station and sell precious metals out of the back of my truck. It's a fun way to do it. Slightly dangerous, but in fact, I just did a transaction not too long ago. I'll tell you about this. It was kind of funny. A guy contacted me and said, "Hey, I want to buy some gold." I was able to get about $2,000 an ounce for the gold that I was selling, and he was happy to be paying that price as well. So I told him I'd meet him at the parking lot of the police station nearby. They have an actual, not really a kiosk, but an area that's covered by cameras. And I said, we'll meet there and we'll do the transaction. Well, I don't know why it was, but he just seemed so eager to get that gold, and it wasn't silver, but just gold that I was going to sell. That I thought, maybe this is a setup. Maybe it's someone who's going to try to mug me or whatever. I don't see those kind of things happen a lot where I live, but better safe than sorry. So I actually took my son along with me. He was in a separate vehicle, and he was fairly heavily armed, as was I. And I don't make any qualms about it. I have a firearm on my hip, and then I have another firearm hidden in another location, and I have actually a third firearm, so that if I have to duck and cover or whatever, I will still have access to different weapons at any time. It's kind of funny, but I felt a little paranoid because I'd never really done it like that before, but there just seemed to be something off. Turns out, just a wonderful man. He came with his wife, just a sweetheart of a lady, and he asked me, well, why are you selling? And I said, well, because you're buying. And he was willing to pay the price that I was asking, and did really well on that transaction. And so I have my cash reserves set aside, ready to go for when silver hits that sub 20, and I sure hope it does. I know that means that there's some bad times, right? I know that means that there's some things going on either with our dollar or with the economy or both. They're all interconnected in some way or another. I know a lot of us are suffering from the effects of inflation, and I feel for everyone out there who is struggling to put gas in the tank or food on the table. It is a tough time right now, folks, but I tell you, I have a 17-year-old kid who's making about $800 a week mowing lawns. That's $3,200 a month, and if he can do it, I truly believe, if you don't have physical limitations or maybe some, mental limitations going on, I think anybody can, make a living out there. And so this is not to downplay anybody who's struggling, but I firmly believe that the dream is still out there, even in this market. Kids charging $30 to $35 a lawn, and he's just busting his butt, mowing, I think, 2 to 5 lawns a day, just depends on how many he has to do. And then he's also umpiring for Little League softball, and he gets $50 a game for that. He's a busy kid going to school still full time, but he's making it work, and he's making about $300 to $3,500 a month for a 17-year-old kid. I think that's impressive, and I'm glad he's figured out, a work ethic. And frankly, I think it's pretty cool because he doesn't have to come ask me for money. He knows what I would tell him first of all: go earn it. And so he's figured out that earning it is the way to go. So, hey folks, what are you doing right now? Where are you hoping that silver is going to go? I'm hoping for $17 an ounce silver, because I think at $17 an ounce I'll be able to buy a lot at about $20 an ounce. And I would probably put, I don't know, 50,000, maybe even 100,000 into silver if it went down to $17 an ounce. I think that would be a smart move for me. It may or may not be a smart move for anybody else, and maybe nobody else would do it, but I certainly would. Because I think, within 1 to 2 to 5 to 10 years, who knows what, I could do very well turning a profit on that. So let me know what you're doing, where you're hoping silver and gold will go. I've done well with both. What are you doing? Let me know in the comments below. Vertical Stacker, until next time.